just had to close ranking quarters. And one of our talented local artists over here. And our little dog beach over there on our left. You can go down here with your own puppy. I would not do it barefooted. Over on our left, we have the site of what was once a trolley barn. Remember Eduardo Gatto, that man I told you about that had that house and the mules? On this little island of ours, half the size that it is today, Eduardo Gatto built 8 miles of trolley track to move his 500 workers from one side of the island to the other. And at first the trolley was an open-sided car, and it was pulled by 2 mules. And I don't know whether it was the same old 2 mules or not. Maybe. Now, early settlers here on the island are thought to have been Calusa Indians, but they left. At some point, they went down toward Puerto Rico and Cuba. The Spanish explorers showed up. They looked around. There's huge piles of bones all over the place. We thought maybe there'd been an Indian battle, a burial ground here. And in fact, on this day, I think in either 1513 or 1514, Ponce de Leon claimed Florida for Spain on this day. Now, they find these huge piles of bones all over the place, and they thought maybe there'd been an Indian battle or a burial ground here, and they called our island Cayohueso, means little island of bones, Bone Island. Well, English speakers couldn't quite seem to get their mouth wrapped around the pronunciation of Cayohueso, and they corrupted it over the years. Oh, sir, please don't stand up on the train. Folks, again a reminder, do not stand up on the train for any reason. So he discovers the dry tortugas. They're about 65 miles west of us. On one of the islands out there is the biggest brick structure in the Western Hemisphere, Fort Jefferson. A great day trip to go out there and take a look at that. Now, up on the next corner is the parking lot, and there used to be a really nice house on that lot. It belonged to Eduardo Gatto Jr. Jr. built his house facing the same direction that we're headed, roughly southwest. He hated the way the sun hit it, so he picked it up one day, turned it around, and plopped it down on the other side of the street where it stands today. Over there on the right corner, it's the only odd-numbered house on that side of Duval Street. Over here on our left is the southernmost house. This was built over a 5-year period for Judge Mining Harris and built of brick, which is an unusual building material for Key West. Judge Harris's ghost is said to be wandering around out there. He's got a cigar, so he's only spotted outside. Apparently his wife won't let him in the house with those things, even after all these years. Over on the left, you're going to see a plaque next to the small gate there. The plaque says southernmost house, and they're talking about the house beyond the tree. That was built in 1940 by author Thelma Strable. She actually put a terrace on that house 18 inches so she could claim the title of southernmost house. Nobody on the island calls it that except maybe the people who live there. Now, on our left is the terminus of a telegraph cable that once ran between here and Cuba. And also on our left is the southernmost point in the continental United States. Now, as we're rounding this corner, we're 157 miles away from Miami and only 90 miles away from Havana. And no, you're not going to be able to see it from here. Now, over on our left is military housing, primarily for Boca Chica Naval Air Station, which is the Top Gun training school north and east of us, a couple islands, and that is where the air show is going to be over the weekend. And they've got all kinds of spectacular groups that are going to be performing there. Now, as you're going around the corner, I've always wanted one of these little steam shovel-y things, little shrunk ones, you know. I just think that's the cutest thing in the world. There's a Bismarck palm over here. There's a piece of equipment I really want right there. There's Chef Lara and bamboo and lots of cactus. Cactus does very, very well here because of our limited rainfall. We average about 40 inches of rain a year. It's half what they get up on the mainland. Now here on our right, we have a butterfly conservatory. It's kind of a new attraction on the island. When they opened, they got a very nice award for excellence in new construction that follows the prevailing architectural style on our island today. Now, a major industry that had a profound influence on our island was cigar manufacturing, and it started here in 1832. By 1890, we had a population on the island of 20,000 people. A third of them were Cuban, and they were rolling millions of cigars. But we had labor disputes and fires and hurricanes, and we gradually lost the industry to the mainland, Tampa and Ybor City. We continued to roll Cuban tobacco here till about 1959, and there are cigar makers on our island yet today. This building with a blue trim at one time was known as La Terraza de Marquis here on our right. The terraces of Marquis. Jose Marquis is the speaking of the balcony there, a big crowd, Key West fashion. La Terraza de Marquis is now known as La Ciudad. This is the Cuban Club here on our left. For the most part, that building was a replica. The original building was destroyed in a fire in 1983. When they rebuilt, they utilized as much of the existing structure as they possibly could. They did a nice job with that. Now, 2 blocks behind us, Eduardo Gatto's factory building still stands. And he built much of this area of the island that we're going through right now. One time, the whole neighborhood here was known as El Barrio de Gatto, Gatto's village. He built houses, bodegas, cantinas, everything his workforce might need. He was one of about 150 cigar manufacturers on the island. Many of them also built houses for their workforce as well. We're turning on to Whitehead Street. This was named for John Whitehead. He was one of our early settlers. His brother William actually laid out and made most of the roads and streets around here, and I don't believe that the man had my train in mind when he did it either. We've got some really skinny streets around here. Over here on our left, you see the lighthouse. The original lighthouse on the island was down by the southernmost point. That one washed away in a hurricane in 1846. And they rebuilt here on higher ground and further inland. And it has been decommissioned. So if you're not terrified of heights like I am, you can climb right up in there and look around. I've been as far as the door. It's as far as I'm going. Now, 2 front doors are on the lightkeeper's quarters. 2 families were needed to keep that lighthouse operational. The original lightkeeper was a woman who did it all by herself. They fired her when she was 82 years old, thinking that she might be a Confederate sympathizer. Well, what else was she going to be around here? Over on our right here, we have a house that was purchased in 1931 for Ernest and Pauline Hemingway. They lived in the house for about 10 years, and Hemingway did some of his best writing there. Farewell to Arms, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, and The Hat and Have Not. That's a wonderful tour. You can go in there, see his studio, see the very first swimming pool built on the island, and my favorite thing, descendants of Hemingway's 6-toed cats. Those cats look as though they are wearing mittens on their fat little feet. On the head of us and on our left is a beautiful old church. This is the Cornish Memorial AME Zion Church. And it was founded by a freed slave named Sandy Cornish, who arrived on the island from Maryland and became very wealthy and respected. Look at the window above the door of this church. It's known as the Eye of God. The congregation is celebrating this year their 145th anniversary. On both